Right, guys, welcome back to the 12th Man, the regular Thursday night show on Thursday night at 7:30. Yeah, forget that one every week. Should have said Roadshow. There we go. If you're unfamiliar with the format of the show, we look at all the latest Ipswich Town news in the look ahead to the weekend's fixture. And of course, this weekend, it's Blackpool away at Bloomfield Road. Dreading that journey, boys, but yeah, we'll move on. Tonight, we're joined by the 12th man himself, Mark Beck, sitting to my left. Seasoned Armchair Andy, who's just in front of us here, sitting down nicely. And the infamous Thomas Whitby. How you doing, boys?
Appreciate you.
Ready for tonight?
Had a bit of shitter today.
I don't think you're ready, boys, to be fair.
Had better weekends, mate. But
Yeah, you've had better weekends, but we'll get on to that. Tonight we're here at Isaac's on the Quay in Ipswich, a popular destination for nights out and football punters everywhere in the Ipswich area. Just a stone's throw from Portman Road, Isaac's currently offer a match day deal in which they offer a range of burgers, followed by chips, for only £6. So make sure you get down here on match days. From my point of view, it's probably one of the best places. Cheesy chips are £3, Andy says. You've been down here a few times. Isaac's is huge. Massive club.
£2 more than Sunderland.
£2 more than Sunderland, yeah, you're right. At least you quality down here, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Isaac's, you can't deny Isaac's probably one of the hottest spots in Ipswich if you want to drink on a sunny day as well. Yeah. You know, if you come down here, it's absolutely rammed. Everyone's here. But yeah, you're right. Depends what the weather's like.
They've got heaters out there. So
they've got heaters outside as well. Yeah, you're right. I think we're hoping that tonight Isaac's will be the ideal location to try and work out what's been going wrong with Ipswich Town lately. We'll look over the defeat to Oxford on Saturday, in which Town were lacklustre at best. In my opinion, we need to look at this from 4 different angles to make sure we give it the fairest assessment it deserves. You're now going to ask me what those 4 angles are, boys. Well, I'm just going to tell you when we get round to it, alright? I'm not going to make you worry about that. But hopefully, you know, it's going to be insightful, but it's definitely going to be painful tonight when we look through this. So let's quickly just dissect Saturday's defeat at the hands of Oxford. Oxford, a team that under Carl Robertson this season have not only been very consistent, but have delivered when necessary. Paul Lambert's side on Saturday, for the majority of the game, were in control. Had it not been for a late Matty Taylor goal in the last few minutes of the first half, then we'd have gone into half-time level with Oxford aiming to see the game off against them in the second half in front of the North Stand. It seems that whenever Town get into a position in which they need to answer their critics, they slump into their natural state. By natural state, I mean a team that seems to think that sitting down and rolling over is acceptable. Would you agree with that, boys?
It's been like that for years, haven't we? I mean, it's a typical Ipswich. I mean, feels like, well, previously we've won games which we probably shouldn't have, and we've lost games we should have won, and well, we just can't win at the moment now. So I mean, I guess we're preparing for another season now in League One.
I hope not, Andy. I hope not, but the first point in where we're going to start tonight, and you know, based on that performance on Saturday, is going to be the players. The players didn't do too well on Saturday, haven't done too well in the past, you know, however many weeks it's been. We'll get down to that stat, I'm sure. But that's where I'm going to start. Is it fair to say we've approached League One with an arrogant mindset and inability to perform week in, week out? Let's go to you, Whitby.
I think my comment at the start of the season thought I'd say yes to that. I think a lot of Town fans went into it thinking 100 points, 100 goals.
Let's just concentrate on the players, though, not the fans.
Players,
Let's concentrate on the players right now. Do you think their mindset was wrong?
Yeah, most probably. What Lambert came out and said, most probably hid what was being said in the dressing room, saying obviously they've got to win the league with the squad we've got. A lot of them haven't played at this level, played a lot higher up. So, yeah, I mean, it's a different type of football down here compared to obviously what is offered in the Championship.
Yeah. You look a bit rough, mate. You're right. You holding it down?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate.
Yeah. What do you make of it, Mark? Do you think our mindset was wrong as a group of players?
I think it's going on with what Andy said, and I don't know where this fucking mentality's come from. It's something that's really where I see where we've gone wrong. It just seems to be a mentality just to accept mediocrity.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as we never seem to be pushing for anything, like talk is cheap, you know, and we seem to aim for promotion or at least say that, but in principle, how many times do you actually seen us dig down deep and actually fight for something that we want? Not just this season, in the last 10 years we just seem to roll over. Even that playoff season under McCarthy, did we really want it? We were set, what were we top at Christmas, we threw it away.
Same as this
we scraped the playoffs, same as this season. I don't know where it's come from. the players have not performed on a weekly basis, but I think I still defend the fact there's a lot of quality in this squad, and I think it is a mentality over the years which has affected a lot of players, and we've seen players leave this club who have been deemed, inconsistent, not good enough. Go on, we've got 2 in the Premier League who've played for us in the last 3 years, and McGoldrick and Webster, and there's countless other players, and there's players that are being questioned as it is. I had someone compare John Nolan to Luke Hine the other day, which is completely ludicrous, but he's a good player. But if you've got the mentality, it all comes to the club. It's an easy ride for them. I don't know where this mentality's come from, whether it's the ownership, previous management. I always seen McCarthy as very much a manager to settle on things, or the senior pros who it's still embedded in. I don't know. It just seems. I feel there's a lot of players in our squad, and we say it all the time. If they're in another team, probably best player in the team on that day, and it's just frustrating to see.
Probably where you go from there is probably too many individuals, not enough teamwork. I think a lot of teams are built around a good team ethos. But Andy, what worries you about our players at the moment?
I don't know. We've gone on about all season how we've got so much potential, best team on paper in the league, but then I don't know, we're just not performing. Even early on, we didn't know how we were top. It was kind of papering over the cracks. Pre-Burton away, first game of the season, Lambert said we identified players, and basically Evans said no. And it's kind of fruits of that, the labours come out now, and we probably deserve to be where we are.
I completely agree. But boys, I'm going to go more on personal performances, something that we do seem to pick on it every week, but not in too much detail. And I'd like to thank Will Taylor. Will Taylor, obviously the guy who done the Billy Key banner earlier on in the season when we went up to Accrington, was it? Yeah. I forgot who Billy Key played for there. But we've probably been ignoring this all season, but I'm just going to read out. He came across with this idea about an Ipswich Town drinking game, right? And it was based on reoccurring themes in the squad. Now, I just want to read these out to you and see if you agree. So, the first one was every time Edwards tries to dribble past 3 players and goes nowhere. Happens every match, don't it?
It should be an Edwards yellow card.
Edwards yellow card as well, yeah. Every time Keane is beaten an aerial 50-50. Every single time. Every time Chambers lets a long ball fly over his head.
Or bounce.
Virtually all the time. Every time Wolferden tries to keep you up, he's in a dangerous area.
Yeah, but he always gets away with it.
Come on, he nearly got done on Saturday. Every time Nolan passes sideways, I know you don't like that one. Every time Jackson misses a one-on-one, you could put Norwood in there as well. They're just continuous themes we have every single week that we never seem to improve on. What can we do to get players to perform?
But this is what I come back to. If you're playing for a club, for them, it's an easy ride, because what is actually our ambition? As much as we all say we want to get promoted, is it true? What have we done for the last 10 years? Just sat in the Championship until the point where everyone else has overtaken us. Fucking Luton were in the conference when we were in the Championship. Look where they are now. They overtook us last season, and we're still going backwards. If you're a player, the players who left us have left because they want to go and do something in their lives. There's players still here. People won't like this, but Chambers and Scouse got an easy ride. They're set up for the rest of they'll retire easy, and they're going down in some eyes as people as their heroes. But honestly, they've been they've been here for this whole ride. Arguably the worst side, as Joe Barton said. This is probably the worst Ipswich Town side in history.
Yeah. It's going to be
because of where we're positioned. But there's so much potential in this squad to do better. But the club doesn't help them because we just accept mediocrity all the time.
Yeah, daylight robbery comes to mind. The term used, more commonly for window tax back in the day. They used to brick up windows because they're effectively stealing light. But what they're doing is stealing a living. These players are not doing anything.
Like these players that have been picked out, some of them have been linked away. Wolferton's been linked away, Premier League, Championship moves.
Yeah.
Jackson was linked to a promotion rival. Guion Edwards at the start of the season was linked to a Championship move. Yeah. There's obviously potential in these players, but you imagine this: you got a job, and your boss says, "Oh, I don't care what you do, but you still get paid. You'll still get paid fucking a really good wage. You're just going to sit and do nothing, aren't you?" if you're not getting pushed by anyone at the top of the club or your manager, I think Lambert is someone who is trying to push people, but I just honestly don't see, I think it's the mentality of the club which is holding us back.
It's got to be.
We'll get round to that. Mate. But surely, if these players aren't good enough to perform at this level, then they shouldn't be considered capable of playing in an Ipswich Town team, Thomas Whitby.
Well, yeah. I mean, we should be a lot higher up in obviously the football pyramid than we are, but you are where your deserves, I suppose. But I think another problem is obviously the core of the squad was obviously here from last season, and obviously they've got that losing mentality, losing God knows how many games last season. So when it starts happening again, that mentality will then come back into their heads going, oh yeah, we go 1-0 down, we can't get it back. Like, whole of last season we never come back from winning or from a losing position, did we?
No, I think the only time we've actually come back from losing position this season, correct me if I'm wrong, was against Accrington. Wimbledon, Tranmere. Sorry, yeah. You corrected me there, but
Last week, when we won 4-1.
yeah, Accrington, Burton. Sorry boys, maybe we are capable of coming from 1-0 down. Yeah, forget what I say. Go on, keep going, mate.
Yeah, against poor teams at the bottom of the league who we should be beating 3 or 4-0 comfortably at home. But if you look at some of these, like Keane beating 50-50, I mean, why is there not a plan B? Why is it going aerial to a bloke who can't header a ball? Why is the ball in the air to him? Why are we not playing it into his feet?
I do, I sympathise with that. We should be playing the ball along the floor, especially come this Saturday when we've got absolutely no aerial threat at all now.
Yeah.
You'd argue that Jackson may have been an aerial threat to an extent. He has scored headers, so we've got to give him that. Nolan scored 2 headers this season. Never scored one last season. Never scored a header before. Yeah, we could talk about players all night.
Scored a goal, did he?
I think he did. Wigan away, mate. You were there.
He did.
Oh, yeah,
He did. Yeah, I'll give him that.
Well,
I was in Magaluf, funny enough. Every time a story comes up, I was in Magaluf.
You need to go somewhere else on holiday, mate.
I know, mate. Terrible. Let's look at point number 2, as obviously the manager, and it's come into question, obviously at the end of last week. So recently, town manager Paul Lambert has been given criticism after poor results, especially after drawing with Wimbledon and losing to Oxford at Portman Road on Saturday, with boos at full time in both of those games. You can't ignore the criticism because this is an Ipswich side that have only recorded 8 wins in the last 29 games. This includes cup competitions. A hierarchy of town fans would suggest that this isn't good enough for an Ipswich side aiming for promotion. You tend to agree. But would you agree that the form is terrible at the moment, and it has been for a considerable time now? Let's start with you, Andy.
Yeah, I think I get when you can. 12 points out of 32, is it? Available recently. Comparing it to the other end of the spectrum, Liverpool have taken 106 out of 107 points. I know it's two parallels, but
because we have 400 million to spend.
Yeah, we just haven't spent it.
But then, so the old supercomputers come out this week and grind the stats. 25 million different possibilities, was it? And I think we're 0% to be champions, 0.1% to be top 2, and 8% to be in the playoffs. And I mean, it just sums us up. And I've said it so many times, at least under McCarthy we had a bit of a philosophy of football.
What a terrible one.
Of long ball.
God. What a terrible philosophy.
Well, at least it was an identity of play, which we just don't have. When Lambert first came in, we tried to play out from the back constantly. Obviously it wasn't going to work because we were leaking so many goals.
Susan Bowles a woman, but she's not a Victoria's Secret model, is she?
Well, I don't know.
I agree with that. I agree with that analogy. If you don't get that, mate, you need to have a word with yourself. But it's right.
I think she's right.
It doesn't matter what you do. This side just hasn't been playing good football.
Just be careful.
But I just want a quick show. I want a quick show of hands around the table. But who's Lambert in at the moment?
I'm Lambert hokey cokey.
I'd say yeah.
This one hand.
Yeah.
That one? What about that one?
Only this one hand.
Are we saying 75% of Ipswich fans then? You're not Lambert in, mate. We'll get to you in a minute. But are we saying 75% of Ipswich fans are Lambert in at the moment?
I'll say 50-50 now.
Go on.
Less than that. I think it's less. On Saturday, I think a lot of people under McCarthy spoke with their feet, just didn't turn up. I think we're fully, but everyone, a lot of the fan base were fully engaged at the start of the season behind Lambert, behind the team to get out of this mess. and they still are. We're so desperate, and that's what hurts more, I think, because we're that desperate to get out. That's probably the loudest boos I've heard. Probably arguably louder than McCarthy.
Because there was more people there.
More people there, but the intensity and anger of it,
You were shaking, weren't you?
Yeah, I was crying. But for Lambert, I love the bloke. I love what he has been trying to do. Whether it's all, the PR pool is quite an infamous name for him. But I see it with good intentions. But whether it's just how much he can follow it through or with what he's got, or his actual ability, I don't know. He's certainly not victimless in this. There's a lot of mistakes that he's made, clear mistakes that we can all see.
Yeah.
But the thing I see at the minute, I think if we got rid of him now, as much as we have a slim chance of getting in the playoffs and God hope promoted, the changing the manager now is accepting our fate, and we'd have to rebuild for next season. That's the next.
I don't want to talk about names, boys, because that's just a pathetic game. And you're never going to win. And if someone mentions Warnock, you just take a walk, boys, because Warnock is virtually, he's dodging the grave at the moment. So
he's like Brian the Coffin Dodger.
It's like Brian the Coffin Dodger, who's here tonight. Boys, assuming the level of standard our squad should be, given that most of them were signed in the Championship, do you believe it's down to Paul Lambert's management style that is not getting the results or out of these players?
Well, you've got to say yes, haven't you? If the players are ready for a higher level, and they should be playing. The players take responsibility as well for not playing good enough. But I mean, it's a team effort at the end of the day, and like you said earlier, if it's a team full of individuals, well, you're going to get individual performance out of people, aren't you? That's the problem, and it's a team effort football. There's 11 players on that pitch. One player makes a mistake and costs you the game.
Something I said a few weeks ago. There's the rotation thing. I defended it at the time, but looking back, but now you look at it. Imagine you're a player in that squad, and you don't know if you're going to be in the 18 the next game in that rotation period. Why would you want to play for a manager like that? Why would you? Like I said, I like Lambert, but for me that makes no sense. You can have rotation, but we rotate in the system and the players, which meant even bigger amounts of rotation. I mean, that's really where we've struggled. I like the 5. Well, I wouldn't care what system we played. I didn't like the 4-4-2, but at least we stuck with it. Any system that we played, as long as we stick with it. But then we went for months on end, changing players and system, and having no actual idea. And now we're sort of playing catch up. When it's too late and the players have lost faith.
But saying that wasn't our most successful period this season when we were rotating. I know it's I know we all don't agree with it, but our most successful period.
I wouldn't agree with it. I personally, every team should have a rotation policy, in my opinion. And there's a lot of footballers out there nowadays. Yeah, you're right. There should be cup rotation, and we done a lot of chopping and changing during that cup period.
Rotating everything.
Yeah,
literally. That's what I don't agree with. The everything. Fine, not the system. Every player should be trained.
We're rotating everything. Like literally, how do you know what? There's no pattern of play or system or anything. How do you know what you like? Like Andy was saying, as much as McCarthy had the fucking ugliest system known to man, at least they know what they were doing.
Yeah.
I look at week to week. Sometimes you see it. Sometimes, how can you go from? I know Burton deficiencies aside, how can you go from a 4-1 win? In that week, Oxford scored 5 and we scored 4. Could you honestly believe that we scored 4 goals the game before?
No.
It didn't look like it, did it?
We scored 10 as well. We made a lot of chances against Burton as well. A lot of chances. And I mean, that first half against Oxford, they let us play, I know, but we played some really good stuff. Before they scored, the first 40 minutes, we played some really good stuff with the ball. But the timing killed us. It's the same as the Burton game. Us scoring just for half time killed them going into the second half.
This is where it comes back to mentality. We're playing the same system, and we just rolled over. We got like one goal. We conceded first in the other game in the Burton game.
But why is it when we're 1-0 down, we've got 3 centre backs when they've got 1 up front? You don't need 3 centre backs.
The Oxford defender was saying at half time that Carl Robinson alluded to the fact. Dickie said that. Carl Robinson alluded to the fact that we were 1-0 down last week and came out and scored 4 goals. I mean, they were certain that we were going to come out, battering all guns blazing, but we never did.
We started the first 5 minutes, we were alright, and then I don't know what happened after that. I honestly don't. And this is where it comes back to mentality. How much do these players want it? and I'm not going to chuck them all under the bus, because where's this mentality come from? I could go on all night about this. I think it stemmed from the McCarthy era, but that's just my opinion.
They don't earn a shirt. I've said it so many times. Yeah. It stems from the fact, rotation policy, whether you like it or not, they don't play to, to start the next game. They're not earning a start.
No
the
one's earned the shirt if there's a rotation.
Would you agree? Would you agree at League One level that? I know, but we've not been in League One. This is my argument. It's new. It's new for us. We come down to this level. We need to find where we are before we start working, in my opinion. You look at all the youngsters that have been given a chance this season in the Cup. You wouldn't see for 3 or 4 years.
Where's El Mazzouni? Where's El Mazzouni?
We're a big club with a small club mentality. That's what I feel.
Why is he not there?
No, he's in Cambridge.
Cheers, mate.
All right, my next question would be, with regards to the manager, is what can a football manager do with his hands tied behind his back? The owner of this football club has only supported him financially by signing one right back from Colchester United for £500,000. That has only featured 9 times this season due to injury. If the calibre of players that Ipswich Town are signing are regularly for the last 4 or 5 years, Bosman signings coming in on a free, then how can we possibly expect to compete in League One, let alone a Championship? I'll start with you.
There's not much money spent in this league. Compared to the Championship. There's a big step. There never used to be that big of a step between League One and Championship.
Last January.
Yeah, but Sunderland had parachute payment. They get 25 million a year from the Premier League.
Not now, they don't. This is the first year.
Yeah, this is the first year. But the other year before, that's why they spent 4 million on Will Grigg.
Because how many million did they spend on Will Grigg?
But they had 25 million to spend. So that's the difference there. There's not that much money spent in this league compared to other leagues. Obviously, Peterborough. I think they spent 4 million on Tony, something like that.
Money they made free transfers. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. So self-made. Championship. If we went up with this side, we'd finish bottom with 20 points again. Literally, we would be blown out of water. The problem is you got money from the Premier League now filtering down to the top of the Championship, and every team that comes down's got 25 million a season. And then if they get relegated again, that's another 25 million. So if Middlesbrough got relegated, we can compete with them, even if they're in this league.
If Evans isn't gonna invest in 2015 or whatever it was, when we were top, had a chance of getting
120
million by being in a Prem. Even if we just came back down, that would completely change club for 10, 20 years. And in terms of finances, he's not gonna spend when we're trying to fight to get back into the Championship, let alone if we did get promoted to stay in the Championship.
You only get 8 million when you go up to the Championship, so there's a big difference there, isn't there? I mean, the only thing you can do is get maybe players on a high wage. That's it.
Yeah, but it's still.
This is where I come back to the mentality. We got in that playoffs. There's no way any Town fan thought we'd be top at Christmas that season. Absolutely no way.
That's why you do go and spend 3, 4, 5 million on a striker.
But we didn't expect to be there. We overachieved with a relatively poor squad, which is honestly what happened the years after. And for McCarthy, that's his saving grace. Name it. What else did McCarthy do apart from that playoff season?
Well, finished
he kept us up.
He kept us up. Yeah. And then what?
Then what? We finished in top 6.
Hats off to McCarthy, because I wasn't one of the people that wanted him out, personally, because what he did was the job that he was given, and this is where it comes down to, is the owner. Now, the perspective in which the owner looks at the football club is completely different to how the fans look at it, and he's doing an unsustainable model. He's managed it so unsustainably that we've had a manager like Paul Lambert come in, and it's given it a real good freshen up, and that's what we needed, right? Whether or not we go up this season will not make this club. We need to rebuild. We still need to rebuild. We've got so much to do. We are going to lose players like Downs and Wolfenden, but there'll be players after them. There will be. It happens all the time. We've got to be a team that relies on our youth to go forward, because there's no money coming in.
Well, we need to stop selling them.
Well, we'll get on to that. Perspective. You've got to sell your youngsters to move forward. I'm afraid you can't. Perspective number 3 is obviously from the owner, Marcus Evans, who probably remained the most elusive owner of a football club in the United Kingdom for the best part of a decade. Finally came out a few years ago to accept his role to disgruntled Ipswich Town fans. The man who famously kept Ipswich Town afloat whilst lining his pockets with the riches from historic youth products over the years. Now, forgive me for my tone if it seems rather abrupt, but there's only one way you can talk about this when you're a fan of a club, which seemingly seems to be in decline on an annual basis without any results. Recent calls for protest would be futile against an owner who simply doesn't give 2 flying fucks about the club. and its supporters. We saw this when Mick McCarthy told the fans to fuck off on national television. We saw this when he wanted season ticket. We saw this when he wanted season ticket sales so quickly, so he came out in the public. We even saw this when he was done for tax fraud on World Cup tickets back in 2012. Was that 6? I can't remember. Brazil. You know, it's taken a hard-working manager such as Paul Lambert to come in and resurrect a club that even from the embers will continue to cinder until Evans is out of this club. Yeah. Boys, what has been Marcus Evans' biggest mistake as owner of Ipswich Town Football Club? Any takers?
Give him Roy Keane 20 million at the start of his tenure. There's no funds. Yeah, but of course it was, because there's no funds now to carry on.
I mean, at the time, I don't think it is a mistake. And I mean, if you're going to buy a football club, then you're going to have to invest considerable amounts of money.
You're going to give Roy Keane 20 million, aren't you? I don't care who you are. You'd give him 20 mil.
Yeah, and I mean,
you didn't have the hospital if you didn't know.
You've got to carry on with the investment. You've got to accept it. If you're not, unless you're in the top bracket of football clubs in the world, you're not going to make money.
His biggest mistake is this window, because like Whitby said,
more than that.
No, because
that one right there.
No, this window right here. What Whitby said. There's not a lot of money spent in this division. We don't, in my opinion, we don't need a lot. You probably needed that extra striker, maybe someone a little bit more creative out wide. Probably get that for under 2 million. Get yourself back up. Sell down to Wolfton. Rightly, that's going to upset people. But ultimately, like we've said, that's how the club's got to be run. If you sell them on the back of a promotion season, they're worth 5-10 times what they are worth
every club outside the top
another
4 is a
season.
selling club. Every club outside the top 4 is a selling club, because those top 4 or 5 clubs in the top bracket of the Premier League can go out and buy whoever they want. They can come to us, even any championship, any top end championship team, any Premier League team could come to us and go, how much do you want for Downs and Wolfton? Evans will go, this much, and they'll pay it straight up, straight away.
How many times there's been countless players over the years that you think, at the time you think, how are we ever going to replace them? And you carry on. Obviously for us it's been a bit unfortunate we've gone down a division, but there's other clubs who survive because they do it right. They bring the next bit through. We haven't been doing that enough.
Do you think then that we're probably worse off because Mick McCarthy didn't bring enough youngsters through at the time?
This is what I was going to raise it a minute ago. There's been a few sellable assets McCarthy brought in. Waghorn, Mings and Webster's probably you 3 you'd look at. But other than Clark, but did he make us? He didn't make us much money, did he? But
they did put a sell-on fee. I'll give him that.
How many players we brought in to play 6 months to 12 months, who they're journeymen. They're just waste of time.
Larson Toure.
You could reel off a whole list.
Ballantbiner.
You could build a whole squad probably, couldn't you? You honestly could.
4 or 5, mate. 4 or 5 squads with the players we had.
We would never know the youngsters that we had at the time that we have now would have kept us in the Championship. We probably would have come down sooner. But ultimately the club would probably have been in a financially better state, and we probably actually would have come up. I fear we're going to be down here for a long while now. And I feel like if they'd have come through sooner and we had a little bit more pragmatism, a bit more business savvy, that we would have actually been in a better position. But ultimately this is where we are now, and we're going to have to learn from our mistakes if we ever do. But like what you just said, what is Marcus Evans' biggest mistake? The opportunity to spend less than 2 million and potentially make yourself 25 plus.
Very good. From the outside looking in then, do you think Ipswich Town are in a bigger problem than some of those clubs that now cease to exist, Andy?
No, we can't. I was literally just thinking that, and I was thinking if Evans didn't come in, what would have happened? Probably would have gone under. I mean, he's a local guy, isn't he? I think he's from out Walsham way.
Local to United Kingdom.
Local to Suffolk in some sense. I mean, we've got to think ourselves lucky that we're not like Bury. and other teams, and he is keeping us afloat. But on the other hand, you can see why fans are so unhappy with him.
Oh yeah, and to be fair, I said this a couple of weeks ago to Kian, I think, prior to one of our games. I think it was Accrington, or Burton at home, and I said, would you tell another man how to spend his money? Would I tell you how to spend 10 grand of your own money?
Well, you wouldn't, would you? But
it comes with that. It comes with the high profile perks of the club.
The old adage is, don't buy a football club if you want to make money.
Exactly.
And
it's a money bit. It is a money bit.
It's what I said weeks before. You'd like to think he'd learn from his mistakes. Maybe he's got himself in too deep, like Whitby was saying, spending too much too early, and he's trying to recoup his losses.
It's a vicious circle.
But Evans thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was at the start. He thought, I'll bring in Roy Keane, bring in a big name. He can then bring in big name players on big wages and invest big, and we'll get up to the Premier League. Maybe not first season, maybe second season, and I'll be making 120 million a season, and literally just having an easy ride. But football's not like that.
No, it isn't. And from a fan's point of view, us four being fans of this beautiful club, we need to look at point number 4, which is the fans. The fans do play a part, and I think it's mostly our fault for not managing expectations. But where do we start with town fans? I'd safely say probably one of the best supported clubs in England when asked, in my opinion.
Don't believe it.
No, when asked of, I would agree we're probably one of the best supported clubs. Don't laugh at that, mate.
No, I was laughing.
This season we're supposed to be the League One tour, and even with 33 points still to play for, I'm still sitting here defeated. The hope that kills you. You're right. You'd argue we're one of the best supported clubs in the league, but you have to be fair to the division we're in. We're playing with clubs that have struggled in the lower reaches of English Football League system, clubs that have fallen from their perch, and teams that will continuously provide for clubs that have more money than them. Realistically, as fans of this club, we still haven't opened our eyes to the serious shitstorm this club is currently operating. A generation of our supporters will still have you believe this club should be in the Premier League. That's how ridiculous it is. Ridiculous, as Brian would say. This club is nowhere near the fucking Premier League, and people need to wake up, and I don't care who it is, they need to wake up. If we're looking at any of the 3 aforementioned points that I've just raised, then you would seriously have to consider this club is destined to be in this position for the foreseeable future. Would you agree? It's like I've just killed one of your children by telling you that we're not going to make the Premier League.
Stop watching your mum.
It is, but there's a lot of you see it. I'm not, Brian is someone who we've had on. He's seen all the glory days.
Yeah.
And for us, I think at the start of the season, everyone in the stable, we all got lost in there. We all got lost in it because we've never seen that. And there's so many different generations of fans. There's a lot of fans who are still sort of in the playoff boom under the Burley era, and that's their glory days. You'll always have that.
What's
era,
our glory days? Ours is
we haven't got
playoffs.
We haven't really got one, and we thought this was potentially going to be the start of something
glory,
special.
Boys, is being pessimistically optimistic. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? At the start of the season, we were winning games, but I can sure remember myself sitting here and telling you boys that I don't think we're playing well at all, and it's coming back to bite us on the arse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got to say that people like ourselves and a lot of others, the club don't deserve us. Follow the club up and down the country, week in, week out. I'd love to know how many miles. Well, not me so much.
Don't fucking deserve you, mate. No, I know you're saying that, but honestly, I'm in pain that I have to go to Blackpool this weekend. I'm at physical pain.
At the end of the season, I'd love to sit down and work out how many miles us as a group have travelled for away games, etc. But
I bet you're under 1,000.
I mean, mate, I drove the longest one of the season. I drove Sunderland.
Mate, I've driven all the blooming North West ones.
No, and you drove Southend, mate.
He's done 9 North West this season, so
easy. And another one Saturday.
And I mean, I'd love for the whole North Stand or something just to do. I forget the team in Germany. Was it Frankfurt?
Who just didn't go.
All the ultras just didn't turn up.
Yeah, that's because they're playing on Mondays, so they don't like Mondays.
They don't like Mondays, but I mean, we don't like our owner.
Yeah.
So I mean, it never happened. But I mean, the club don't deserve support like this, and we've sold out Bristol Rovers.
I think the problem is it's a blind loyalty. There's people who we all know who far more dedicated than all of us, they'll go to every game that they can. They'll scrimp and save and do whatever they can to get to every game possible. And it's the blind loyalty. It's because it's love. Love is blind. They love this club, and sadly they're not getting anything back from it. It's just a really sad state of affairs, really.
Yeah, it's terrible, and as we've mentioned with each of the previous points tonight, I think we have to look at our responsibilities as fans and whether we've met the club with the support it's needed during that time. We have to question whether what we're doing as fans is helping the club. There's been times where our fans have walked away from the club when it's been needed. You look at the McCarthy era, you probably would have said, McCarthy said fuck off to the fans, but we should have said fuck off to him. Do you know what I mean? And you're right, protests should have come at certain points. But yeah, bed sheets out. It doesn't normally clear these things up, does it?
That's where I come back to what I've been saying earlier, the mentality. McCarthy, that one season, breeded the mentality that McCarthy needed. He had that in the bank. And it was just he could accept mediocrity. McCarthy was under no pressure, was he? Yeah. In reality, he was under no pressure because the club was happy to accept mediocrity.
Well, did McGoldrick come out and say that
if McCarthy hadn't have been driven out by the fans in the end, he would have still been there. Yeah. He still would have been here, and ultimately probably would have retired at Ipswich. Yeah. Ultimately probably would. Maybe would still be in the Championship, but even so, is that the mentality we want? A manager who wants to sit here and just be in the same division. Like I said earlier, Luton, you look at them, they've come from, they were in the same division as us at one point, gone all the way down, been hungry and fought and got there also.
You can say same at Oxford as well. Oxford are in the conference 4 or 5 years ago maybe, and they've come to Portman Road and they literally had one of the easiest games I've had all season.
How many teams have done it? Fleetwood, Accrington. We've
come all that way.
Celebrate like there's their cup final.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have
that's a mentality though.
I'd rather have that mentality of actually being proud of winning games.
Yeah.
We should be doing these games like celebrating like
every goal.
If we had that mentality, the size of the club that we are and where we should be. This is the mentality you'd have, like Sheffield United, prime example, going to places and winning games. Perhaps they're not expecting to, but they got that belief in someone that actually wants to drive them forward and take them as far as he can.
I want to have a quick word with you, Tom, about this one, because I know you travelled virtually every, home and away, mate. Whether it is, whatever country. I know you do it for England as well. But come the end of the season, if Town were to remain in League One, would you see the same support? Not only at Portman Road but away from home next season?
What, from myself or
from Ipswich fans?
From the Ipswich fans in general. No. I think most people want to go to most of the games because obviously they're on the thrill ride. I think we were going to go up earlier on the season. New stadiums as well, ticking off. I think home attendance is obviously going to average about 20,000, just under. That will half. I think we'll be lucky if that is over 10,000.
And those empty stadiums that we've been accustomed to when we have gone away this season, that will be us, won't it?
Oh, they're just soulless bowls, aren't they? They really are.
Well, look at Bolton when we went there. Absolutely drastic, wasn't it?
There's big clubs who've been in the Premier League longer than us in recent times and arguably had more success than us. Sunderland has closed in the top tiers. Like you said, Bolton. I know they've had financial difficulty, but even so. Even clubs like Bradford dropped even lower than we have. And the city's that the same. Coventry, there's so many, and we look likely to be added to the list, unfortunately.
Well, Tom mentioned Blackpool there, but we've got to get on to Blackpool because we've only got a few minutes left, boys. I'll rush through this. But Blackpool away this Saturday, this coming weekend, and playing tonight against Bolton. And mark my words, they'll probably get a result tonight. Tom's just checked it, and it's 1-0, isn't it, mate? I've written that in my notes. They're going to get a win, and they're going to be in good confidence coming against Town at the weekend. Currently, before tonight, they sit 16th in the division, and they're looking to get in a new manager. Former manager Simon Grayson was sacked after a continuous run of bad form. Blackpool, the team that have only won once in the league in 12 fixtures.
Well, guaranteed to beat us then.
Guaranteed to beat Ipswich, as we look at it right now. But David Dunn is currently the caretaker manager for the Tangerines. You'd like to say Blackpool would be an attractive location for an up-and-coming manager, but much like Ipswich have, their owners don't consider all the footballing equations. Armand Gwendolet is the top goal scorer for them this season with 15 goals this season. Yeah.
We said Armand before. Who the hell's that?
Armand Gwendolet, Nandelay, I don't know. 15 goals this season. Both Caden Jackson suspended and James Norwood's surgery will be out of this tie. This looks to be the final long distance trip up to the northwest this season, so something to celebrate come full time. Look into the history books in the 27 fixtures that have been played between these two sides. And Town have run out victors on 12 occasions, drawing 10 and losing 5. Town have been unbeaten at Bloomfield Road since 2013, having played there twice and won both games. Hopefully a good omen this weekend. Earlier on in the season, the club drew 2-2 at Portland Road thanks to a second half equaliser from Luke Garbett. We're very lucky to get a draw in that game, if you ask me. But boys, as we said earlier, there's still 33 points to apply for this season. What's going on here? To play for this season. Given
better apply
to apply for, yeah, we're better to apply for, and we might get them. Given that during our dissection this evening, we have all but stated that we're not ready to go up. Would you still see this club reaching the playoffs, boys? Just quickly, yes or no? Just no's or yeses?
Yes, God believe.
Yep.
No.
Fucking, you two still saying yes after everything we talked about tonight.
What's the point of going to these games?
You're right. No, you're right.
You've got to believe.
Yeah, it's the hope that kills you as
One
well.
game can
You're
turn
right.
it.
It can. I'd like to know what everyone else is thinking. Make sure you're looking at those live comments tonight. Yeah, every week you've got to look at those live comments. Let us know. Do you think we're still getting the playoffs? And we talked about how big a miss James Norwood would be, but now having lost Kane Jackson to a silly red card on Saturday, how big a miss will that striker be?
Thanks Rob Dickey for watching, by the way. Mate, looking back, it probably was a red card, but Jackson was still pretty cool.
I told you.
Apologise, Whitby was right. That was a red card, but I don't know how he saw it because we were right in front of it.
Eagle eyes, mate.
Remaining mildly positive, it would be very Ipswich for us to go up there with a strike force bearing 3 goals. A squad at the minute seemingly struggling to keep clean sheets, not the only ones.
Oh, you've just reminded me. Hold on. While we're talking about clean sheets, Thomas Whitby, now known as Thomas Shipby. What happened this weekend, mate? Just explain what's happened.
Right, so me and my brother went up to Liverpool. My mate who's a West Ham fan got us tickets in the West Ham end. We went up Sunday, went out Sunday night, and had a bit too much to drink, I think. Walked home, got home, I can't remember nothing, literally. Had my head down the toilet most of the night. And
that's the wrong end.
Yeah, wrong end, yeah. And apparently my brother Tom got up in the middle of the night, went for a shit, missed the toilet, and basically covered the room in it. And woke up with shit all in my arse.
We need the apology now.
I mean, that's a watered down version of the events, mate.
Yeah,
You had
very
shit
watered
all over you, all over the room.
Yeah.
You know that? Isn't that in Borat? When Borat says like, "There's shit all over the room, there's shit all over the." Yeah, literally, that was what happened, mate. Yeah, Will and the in-betweeners. All these things come to mind, mate. But I've heard that you've got something to say, mate, for your behaviour this weekend.
Straight down camera, mate.
Well, yeah, I'd like to apologise, obviously, firstly to Travel Lodge Cleaners. You've done a fabulous job. We hope. Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to see the finished article.
Room's been condemned.
But yeah, well, obviously, I did help. I did take all the covers off. I'd like to apologise to my fans as well on Twitter, haters as well. There's more of them, I think.
3 Twitter accounts were made in answer to this.
I
Yeah.
only saw one. Where are the other 2?
No, you didn't see the other one.
No, I didn't see the other ones. No.
Mate, you need to keep your eyes open.
But yeah, I'd like to apologise to everyone. Obviously, my behaviour this weekend was unacceptable on so many levels. And yeah, I had a shitter, quite literally.
You couldn't write it. When I got that message, say, boys, I've just woken up and I've literally shit everywhere. I didn't believe it until I saw the pictures.
You said on Saturday, I think you're going to be sectioned after this, and I thought, well, it's finally happened.
Travel
no.
ban and order incoming.
Back to the shit in question. Let's hope, like, as I was saying before we got sidetracked, it would be very Ipswich for us to go up to Blackpool with a strike force bearing 3 goals and actually win. in comparison to having a fully fit squad and probably going up there and lose.
I've got a really serious question. Actually,
that's the only hope I can actually give. I look forward to the journey because I'm again with you boys, but that's probably about the only thing I'm actually really looking forward to on the day.
Yeah. What are you going to say, mate?
I just hope we're not staying up in Blackpool.
We're not, mate.
Thank fuck for that.
Shithole.
Evans will be spending the old transfer budget on the penny machines Saturday night, I reckon.
He wants a key ring. He definitely wants a key ring. That's just tipping on the edge. He'll chuck them 2p's
Well,
in.
boys, I accidentally stayed in Blackpool last year when we played Blackburn.
Accidentally staying in Blackpool.
Oh, mate, I wish I hadn't done it. Virtually ended my relationship. It was that bad. It was horrible, and nothing was open. The illuminations went on. It was just disgusting. It's not a place I'd want to play football. The only good thing is, if you stay up there, the hotel's right outside the stadium. It's within walking distance. But in terms of Saturday, boys, I think we've had a bit of bad luck this season. There's a
Is that travel
He's
lodge?
banned.
He's banned, isn't he?
Yeah,
I'm sleeping
travel lodge
outside,
ban and
boys.
order.
Face planted to death.
I'm definitely doing a mic this weekend.
Boys, last question. I'm going to keep it very brief. I know we've not really talked about it, but there's not much you could say after this poor run of results. I know we've won one recently, but not enough in my opinion. Should we get a win on Saturday, do you think it will throw us into another false sense of security that we could still do something this season?
It's okie dokie at the minute. We're in contention and out of contention week to week, it seems. I still go back to the Lincoln game. I'm not sure anyone 1-0. All saying we're top of the league. When we go to Rotherham on Tuesday and the following game against Peterborough, that's summed it up really. But can you imagine a season, saying this in the season, how many times have we won 4-1 this season? Three times? And we're not happy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's because we expect to be doing a lot better, and a lot better consistently. I'd happily take those 2 of them goals away from them 4-1s and stick on a 1-0 win on games where we should have put teams to the sword. We just haven't done it, and that's ultimately the reason why we're in this position at the minute, not putting teams to the sword. Yeah. Sunderland were a team guilty of not getting enough wins last season. That ultimately cost them, and we've done exactly the same, unfortunately.
Andy, what's your thoughts on it, mate? Do you think that a false sense of security could be installed after another poor performance? Or a good performance, actually. We go out to Blackpool, win the game, and we look, we're still only 8 points off the top 2. I don't think it's achievable, personally.
Top 2, I think it's gone probably now. Playoffs. Yeah.
Well, it's a 1% chance.
I mean, I've said second all season, but I think, probably it's gone now. But carry on the theme of false sense of security, paper over the cracks, probably go up there and get a win, and then come back down and lose to Fleetwood on Tuesday night.
Do you think that the worst case scenario would be if this club got promoted via the playoffs? That would be terrible, wouldn't it?
Well, no.
It wouldn't be. No, of course it wouldn't, mate. I mean, we're in a higher division. We're playing. We're playing bigger teams. But I know we're going to lose. We'll lose majority of the game.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying is it good for Ipswich Town to get promoted at this point in time?
Is it ever a bad time to get promoted?
No,
That's
you're
what I'm
right.
asking.
You're right. I think we'll leave it there, boys.
We could ask Norwich.
We could ask Norwich, but we don't want to. But thanks to Norwich fans that have been watching our videos of late. Thanks for all the free coverage on your channels. Yeah, got a few views, didn't we? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean,
We don't watch them.
it's all right living rent free, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. But we've got a big one this Saturday. Hopefully we can get a win. Hopefully we can just start winning games, because that would just make it so much easier to do. But Blackpool away, last Northwest game of the season. Thank fuck for that. That's all I'm going to say. But until next time, come on you Blues.